What if I told you one missed field goal turned into one of the NFL's weirdest little mysteries? A tiny piece of equipment, a slow motion replay, and a Sunday night announcer saying something that made the whole league sit up and take notes. Picture this: London, a raucous crowd, a kicker taking a breath, and a football that suddenly becomes a headline. Well, Reichard lines up, the moment stretches. He kicks, the ball sails, and it's wide. But the replay shows something strange. For a heartbeat, the football and a broadcast cable appear in the same frame, almost touching. Social media lights up. Some fans see physics, others see a conspiracy. The clip spreads like a rumor, and like any good rumor, it grows in the retelling. Here's the thing: it died down for a minute. Then, weeks later, Al Michaels, calling a Thursday night game, mentions it casually. His only miss this year was when he hit a wire with the camera in London. That line turned a sleepy internet whisper back into a thunderclap. Players' agents call the league. Analysts start debating angles in living rooms and on sports radio. The NFL, finally pushed into the spotlight, says, "Nope, that didn't happen." Why would the league be so adamant? Because sports leagues don't like the idea that on-field equipment, something connected to television production, could alter the result of a play. If it's true, suddenly the line between the game and the camera becomes a problem you can't ignore. So the NFL dug in. Engineers who were on site in London re-examined the footage. They tracked camera positions, they looked at cable mounts, and the path of the ball. Their conclusion: the slow motion angle compresses depth, making objects that are actually far apart look close together. The ball never touched the cable. Sounds neat and tidy, right? But people don't always accept technical explanations when their eyes tell a different story. Reichard's kick had a weird wobble. Coach Matt Daniels and Reichard himself sounded skeptical. Reichard's agent, Jim Ivler, even reached out to the NFL asking if that attempt could be removed from Reichard's stats, because stats matter. Numbers follow you. They help negotiate contracts and build reputations. Ivler said someone at the league initially hinted it might be possible to wipe it, then reversed course. The attempt had to stay. That flip only made the story juicier. And then there was Al Michaels, a voice of Sunday nights for generations, who unwittingly reopened the whole debate on national TV. He said it during a broadcast, an offhand remark that plants itself in the public imagination. Walt Anderson, an NFL rules analyst, heard it and apparently called Amazon's analyst Terry McAulay to say the league didn't buy Michaels' claim. Michaels later backtracked on air, half in jest, half embarrassed. "The league wants to take my lunch away," he said, relaying that the NFL told him it was an optical illusion, not contact. But he also admitted that Reichard thought otherwise. So was it an illusion or interference? The league showed the clip to team owners at a meeting in October and highlighted the cables in footage shot before the kick, trying to prove the wires could not have interfered. Executive Vice President Troy Vincent and others argued that the ball didn't have a weird spin that would suggest cable contact. To some club executives and engineers, the case was closed. The ball and cable only looked close because of camera compression. To Reichard, to his coach, and to many fans, the motion of the ball, the sudden wobble, the way the ball seemed to jolt, looked like something physical had happened. That's the core tension here: empirical evidence on one side, visceral perception on the other. The slow motion replay is a double-edged sword. It gives us clarity, then tricks us with a depthless frame where distances collapse. We trust our eyes, especially when the narrative fits: the missed kick, the lone stat blemish, the theater of the moment. There's also a human side most of the headlines skipped over. Imagine being the kicker. You practice, you breathe, you live and die by inch marks and sweet spots that you can feel in your foot. One miss stands out, especially if it's the only one all season. Your agent rings the league because numbers matter in negotiations and in legacy. You watch TV and hear a famous announcer say your miss touched a cable. How do you process that? You're trying to be a professional while everyone, analysts, fans, angry commenters, picks at the smallest detail of your performance like it's forensic evidence. And the NFL's reaction is telling. They didn't just issue a quick sentence and move on. They compiled footage, interviewed engineers, and made a public statement that said, in essence, "We looked at everything from camera placement to the physics of the ball, and there is no evidence of contact." That level of response suggests they were worried about precedent. If a cable can be blamed, what's next? Spotting errors, replay controversy, equipment liability? There are slippery slopes when you start blaming outside factors for on-field results. But the story doesn't end with a bureaucratic memo. Reichard missed again in Week 8, which added a little salt to the narrative. Not because the second miss proved anything about wires, it didn't, but because it shifted the conversation back onto the player. Statistics are stubborn. They collect like barnacles. The attempt stayed in the books, and the debate for a while became less about whether the NFL was right and more about how we interpret moments in an era of ultra-slow replays and viral clips. Here's what matters after all the angles. Literal and metaphorical have been considered. Sports are part spectacle, part physics, and entirely human. We watch replays to get closer to truth, but sometimes the frame changes the truth. We rely on experts when we can't trust our eyes, but even experts have biases and incentives. And the people most affected, the player, the coach, the agent, live with the consequences no matter what the ruling room decides. So what's the takeaway? In a world that shows us every frame in excruciating detail, we're more likely than ever to argue about what actually happened. Optical illusions can become controversies. Announcers can accidentally punch buttons that wake sleeping stories. And a kicker's single miss can be dissected until it becomes less about a ball's path and more about who gets to define what the replay shows. Will Reichard will keep kicking. The NFL will keep policing the line between the camera and the field. Fans will keep watching slow-motion replays and deciding for themselves. But maybe the real story is simpler and a little sadder. In the age of high-definition scrutiny, the tiniest, most ephemeral things, a flash of a cable, the tilt of a camera lens, the cadence of a broadcaster's sentence, can cling to a player's record forever. The ball didn't hit the wire, the league says. The replay fooled our eyes. The truth, for now, sits in the middle. A technical explanation on one side, a human feel on the other. And whatever the final ruling, the memory is already carved into highlight reels and group chats. In sports, like in life, optics can feel like reality. But sometimes optics are just that, optics. The kick was missed, the debate was loud, and the only thing left to do is watch the next one sail through or fall short. Did the ball hit a wire, or did everyone just see what they wanted to see? It started as one of those tiny, ugly moments that, for 1 second, felt bigger than the game. A Vikings kicker steps up in London, the snap is clean, the kick is high, and then the ball slices wildly right. On the replay, a thin cable and a spiraling football seem to occupy the same sliver of space. For Will Reichard, what should have been a footnote, a missed field goal and a win, turned into the kind of debate that keeps highlight reel editors and rules analysts awake at night. ESPN.com. What happened next made the moment even stranger. Reichard told people he felt the ball strike something. His agent picked up the phone and asked the league a pointed question. Can that miss be removed if it was caused by stadium equipment? For a minute, it felt like the NFL might roll back the stat sheet. Then the league did what leagues do when a minor mystery turns into a media thing. It launched a formal, detailed pushback. Officials reviewed the footage from multiple angles. Engineers on site walked through cable positions, and the league publicly said it found no evidence the ball ever contacted the cable. The two versions of the truth were now standing on opposite ends of the field, like sports.yahoo.com. Let's zoom out. Why does this matter? At first blush, a missed 40-something yarder that doesn't cost the team the game should be forgettable. But kickers live by margins. Careers, contract talks, and reputations can be nudged by a single stat line. For Reichard, a young kicker earning trust in a new city, the difference between perfect, except for one blooper, and 2 misses on the year is not just numbers in a spreadsheet. It's narrative currency. That's why his agent asked the league to consider erasing the attempt. It wasn't petty, it was protective. Sports.yahoo.com. And then the saga took another twist on national television. During a recent Thursday night football broadcast, veteran announcer Al Michaels called the incident out, saying Reichard's miss came after the ball hit a camera cable. The NFL's reaction was swift. League officials told broadcast partners they disagreed, calling the